Yo, what is going on, everybody? Boys, Indy back at you again with another monthly recap. This month going over the month of February. So pretty cool month, my best month ever, up just under 30 grand. The numbers on the month after fees is $29,052.14. So um, it's it's pretty impressive the market that we're in, and every single time that it looks like the market is gonna start to take a turn, start to slow down, or really like it's reached its peak of craziness, you know, more and more plays start coming in. So with December and January being hot, I kind of thought, maybe February was going to cool down a little bit, but it was just the opposite. So this is, what I would call probably the greatest time to be a trader. So I'm just going to kind of get into the month. So two things to note is that the OTC market has been, just on fire. And, like a lot of you that watch this channel know, and the people that know me, is if the OTC market is hot, I'm not paying attention to the listed market because my best edge is, in the OTC market, OTC longs. So, in my opinion, I'd rather, focus on that and focus on what I'm good at and get stress-free trading instead of trying to bounce around doing things that aren't my ultimate edge. Especially with the OTC market never being like this before, never being this hot, I don't have any desire to branch out to the listed market until things slow down in the OTC market. The dollar volume in the OTC market is absolutely crazy. I remember when I first started trading just 8 or 9 months ago, the highest tickers was getting like 3 million, 4 million, $5 million volume. And now they're getting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million volume on the day. It's just, absolute madness in the OTC market. And it's been here for a few months. Usually the OTC market will be there for a month, maybe two, and it'll just fizzle out for like a very long time. But it's looking like this market is here to stay for now. So, the goal is going to be to milk it as long as it's hot so that when the market does take a turn, I can sit on my hands. I can, do other things with my life besides, trying to force trade and trying to force money. That's the cool thing about the trading game is you can make, ridiculous amounts of money, people's yearly salaries inside of a day, a week, a month. And then, if the market decides to cool down, you can just kind of step back and relax. So I'm going to get into the numbers now. This was the lowest amount of red days I've ever had in a month. One of my big things is I want to minimize drawdowns in my account. This is a real career for me. I just moved to South Florida, so I have real bills to pay. I just got to be very smart with my money, and I don't want to be having like 10 to 15% drawdowns in my account, which is why I'm trading very safely. And the market is so good right now, and there's so many opportunities that if things aren't going my way, I'm just going to go ahead and cut and look for re-entry. It's always cheaper to cut your losses quickly and get back in than it is to, risk huge drawdowns in your account and letting stocks just fail and fail and fail against you. I don't have any time for a stock that's not going my way. Um, so just going to get into I'm just going to get into the stats. So yes, the 29 grand is my best month after my previous best month only being 12 grand and January only being 11 grand. So already nearly tripled, the numbers from January. And that's just a result of, you know, some things that I'm going to talk about after I get into the stats. Now, first of all, I think the most important factor for any trader, in my opinion, is going to be the profit factor. The profit factor is kind of like your real time risk reward. You know what I'm saying? So you take let's say you had 100 grand in gross profits, and then you had 10 grand in gross losses. Your profit factor would be 10 because your wins are 10 times your losses. Generally, I want to be having a minimum of 2 to 3 as my profit factor. So with this month, my profit factor being 10, that is just, completely mind blowing to me. And that's just a result of, maximizing the A plus setups, and then when things don't go against you, you cut your losses quickly. And what I mean by maximizing your A plus setups is you want to be prepared for them, and you want to be able to, give size to those A plus setups. You know what I'm saying? So this month on my A plus setups, I have been increasing the amount of money that I'm throwing at um, these stocks. Going into this month, my full size was 10 grand in any particular stock, and now I've upgraded that to 20 grand, and it has still been completely stress free. I haven't lost on any of my A plus setups, and things have been going pretty smoothly. Um, so that is what the profit factor. And another thing I want to talk about is the win percentage. My win percentage on the month is 70%, which is cool, but it's very important to me for people, especially new traders, to understand that your win percentage is probably the least important factor, or least important statistic as far as your trading. And I say that because, I read a book from the Market Wizards, and one of the good traders on there was saying you should be trading in a way that one of your wins can wipe out 3 to 5 of your losses. Um, and that's the way that I've been trading. So you could even have a 50% win ratio, which is my win ratio since I started is only 50%, and you can still be making ridiculous amounts of money because if your average win is, let's say, um, you can kind of see mine here. My average win is $972. My average loss is only $217. So nearly five. My average win is nearly 5 times my average loss. So what that means is that I'm trading in a way that's keeping losses small and also, maximizing those winners so that one win can wipe out, 5, 6, 7 of my losses. Um, and that's important. Now going back to the calendar, the last thing I'm going to say about the calendar is not only do you not want to have big drawdowns because you don't want to, have your account dwindle and start taking large losses, but there is a huge something that's not talked about much in the trading community is when you start taking bigger losses, you you get yourself into these negative thought patterns that can linger on into the future days. So you take a big loss or whatever, and then it's like you go into the next day still thinking about that loss, and then maybe you miss a setup, or maybe you start playing it too safely, or maybe you start doing things that you know just aren't good to relative to your future trading. So with me, only a $145 red day here, and then a $1,200 red day. Honestly, neither of these losses hurt at all. Like I came in after this $1,200 red day, and I just completely moved on to the next day and continued to execute and recovered it um, in 2 days. So going in now, this is my profit factor. So since I started, and this is something that a lot of people who don't trade should be very aware of, is the fact that this is trading isn't always going to go good. This is the first 6 months of trading right here. This little run up right here before it starts to get consistent. So I spent 6 months, making money here, giving it all back, going down to zero. Making money here, giving it all back, and going back to zero. For 6 months, it took it for things to really click for me. So in my opinion, if you're going to get into the trading game, like yeah, it's like the new popular thing, but if you're not willing to give yourself at least 6 months to a year, then you have no business, getting into this game at all. Because if you quit before 6 months to a year, you're cutting yourself short, and you're not giving yourself a realistic time frame to capture the learning curve of this game, right? So right before I get into some charts and into the things that made me money this month, um, I want to, let's see. So you can kind of see all of my money OTC stocks here is, you know, all of my money comes from the OTC stocks, and I'm focusing on my bread and butter setups. My bread and butter setups are A, the morning spike, and B, the dip and rip right here. So you can kind of see you have to, in order to become good at this game, you have to understand what you're good at. And the only way to track what you're good at is to keep realistic statistics of everything that you're doing. So that's why I use traderview.com, and that monitors everything so that I know, all right, if this is my A setup, if I win this much on it, if my practice profit factor is this much on it, and I'm really good at it, why wouldn't you be throwing the most amount of money into these setups? You know what I mean? So, um, just gonna get into it, into some charts. Mm-mm-mm. Cool. So some of the main plays I want to talk about is ozsc, and to me, um, this was one of my bigger trades, and you can kind of see. Um, this is, this is just the result of keeping track of your scanner pre-market and see what's starting to gap up and what's starting to get pre-market prints and sizing up on those setups. So one of the most underrated things with, penny stocks in general or low cap stocks is what is the personality of the stock. And I know that this stock has a tendency to make huge morning moves and to react really big based off of what the CEO was tweeting on Twitter. So I saw that, this thing was moving pre-market, and what I do immediately, I go on Twitter and I saw the CEO was tweeting about how he has a meeting with Amazon coming up. Whether it's true or not, it's, enough to drive hype. So I took, full size down here. And one of the things from last month going into this month is I wanted to be scaling out of my position so I can be a little bit more patient and getting my sales closer to the top of these morning moves. Because you can kind of see in the morning, you'll get these huge moves that are just like, crazy. And the OTC market is just so one directional that you can get 10, 20, 15, 30, 40, 50% with absolutely no pullback. So I think you can see I bought all my shares down here. Once I saw the volume coming in, sold some right, sold half right here, and then literally sold some, right at the top. So that was one of the good moves. The next play I want to talk about here um, is AABB. Now, this is a stock that, I used to trade when it was trading around like a penny or two a share back in like probably March, April. This is the daily chart right here, and you can see, it had a press release um, about Bitcoin, right? And that was on this day right here, and you can kind of see like what happens. It goes from it goes from 6.9 cents to 23.4 cents inside of a day. And this is, what I would call my bread and butter setup. You can kind of see this is the daily chart. It started all the way down here and it closed all the way up here right near its highs on, record volume. It was completely liquid. So what's my A plus setup? My A plus setup is coming into the game the next day, which is on this day, in that first hour, and, getting like a piece of that early morning move. And the thing to notice about this stock is that it ran on Bitcoin news, 300% in a few hours on Bitcoin news. And that's why I don't understand the hype about, Bitcoin. If you buy Bitcoin at what, 50,000, like where are you really gonna be able to, make your profits? If for that to double or triple, it has to get to, 50,000 or 100. I mean, have to get to 100,000 or 150,000. That'll probably take months, if not years, if at all. When these penny stocks can move literally 200-300% in minutes, hours. So that's my take on, the whole Bitcoin thing, and you can kind of see when I traded this. This was on. Let's see. This was on February 17th that I traded this, and you can kind of see AABB. I locked in $3,000 on this trade, and you can see how poorly I played the execution. I bought it all the way down here, and I sold it right here when it started to look shaky. Started to go a little bit sideways here. I probably could have got in um, again and then rode this momentum up. But you can see I locked in 3,000 here, but I probably left another 3,000, on the table. So That is my bread and butter setup. Is what I'm looking for every single day. And in this market, almost every single day, these setups are coming in. So you gotta take a look at Twitter. You gotta take a look at what's hot, and when Bitcoin's hot, then stocks that are coming out of nowhere, they're literally changing their business models overnight to all of a sudden be a quote unquote cryptocurrency company. Just the name of Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain in their company can make these stocks go up 100, 200, 300, 400, 500% inside of a day, inside of a few hours. You can kind of see this right here. This candle is right when market opened. I literally bought it within a few seconds. I could tell that this had enough volume to go all the way. Mixed with how many people were talking about it on Twitter. Mixed with the fact that Bitcoin continued to run and run and run and run and run. Um, so that's my biggest setup, and that's all done. All this money that I'm making is all coming within the first hour of market open. If you look at what is this? Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. All right, cool. So you can kind of see right here. This is the first hour of market open, and you can kind of see from 9 to 10, from the first hour of the market open, these two candles, 26,000 out of my $29,000 came from the first hour of market open. And what does that mean? It means that these setups that I'm playing in these early morning, that is my edge. That's what I need to maximize. That's what I need to throw the most size at. So the rest of the day, if I find myself sitting around at the computer, just kind of like aimlessly, looking and searching for plays, I know that I'm forcing it because the statistics tell me my edge is in the first hour of the market, longing OTCs. Now I'm going to get into, what was my best trade of the month and also my best trade ever, um, which is LTNC. Now this is a stock that, again, I found it was moving on my pre-market scanner, had a couple prints, it was gapping up, and you can see it gapped up all the way from a cent to nearly 2 cents. And I go on Twitter and I see huge, huge accounts. This guy Stan the Trading Man is talking about it online, and he's like, all right, this is the future. This stock is the future of the OTC market. Keep in mind he has over 100,000 followers, and he's involved with stock business. And that was on this day right here. And you can just kind of look at, you can look at this candle, and it's just like, it is crazy. Like the stock literally goes from, let me see what that is. The stock literally goes from, just under 2 cents to 3.5 cents. But the craziest part about it is that, let's see, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot, is, the one directional nature of the OTC stocks once they choose a direction. So going back to, LTNC, and that's on this day right here where I made $6,170 in the first in one trade, grabbed it on full size, $20,000 worth of size right here, right at the beginning. Because what you have to get good at is being able to understand when a stock has volume, basically in that first minute or two of the market opening. And right away, this stock had well over 1,000 trades before the first minute of the market was open, and I grabbed full size down here, and I'm getting a 40% move in with no pullback in the first 8 minutes of market open. 6 grand in 8 minutes. So a lot of traders and a lot of people can show you how to make money by working, and not even traders, just like people in general or business people working crazy hours in a week or in a month. But I want to know, how can I work less and make more? And by maximizing these A plus setups, locking in $6,200 in the first 8 minutes of the market open, that is completely stress free to me. Granted, I should be buying on these panic dips right here and selling right here, and even playing this reversal, right here off of the first high or low. But sometimes it's like, yeah, once you make that type of money in, 10 minutes, 8 minutes, there's really no need to sit there and try to like force it. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that is the bread and butter setup. You have to keep an eye on what is going on as far as as far as Twitter. Twitter is your best place to see what is going on with these stocks. All you got to do is type in the dollar symbol and the ticker name. Another thing I wanted to notice is that in the previous month, most of my money has came from the dipper rips, which is basically means when these stocks get their move um, the previous day and they close strong and they get that gap up, people are selling off in the morning. Now it's like the volume is so crazy, the demand is so crazy that out of the $21,000, $24,000 that came from what's it called? Usually they get that came from these morning plays. Usually it's from the dip and rips, but things are going straight up. AABB did it, ozsc that I just showed you did it, LTNC did it, and it's almost like there's only demand in the stock market right now, and nobody is selling. So that's something to note going the previous into the further months. Um, VPER is another one I wanted to talk about, and this is the importance of always keeping an eye and keeping news alerts. So scans.com, scnz.com, that lets you keep track of companies that have been running recently. You can literally just put news alerts so that when they start running, you'll get it. It'll flash up on your screen right away. So as soon as this stock announced news right here on this candle, I bought, right here after I saw enough volume going in, and I sold right here for like $1,600 in one, two, less than 3 minutes, $1,600. Um, so those are just great opportunities and great things that you want to be doing when you're trading these OTC stocks. Now I'm going to talk about some of my losses. And probably the most frustrating loss that I had was on KNOS. Um, I'll kind of show it. So this is the daily chart right here on KNOS, and you can kind of see it had this run up on this day right here from 13 cents to 25 cents, and it closed really strong. But the next day it completely failed. You can see this huge red day gives back most of its gains, right? Now, I traded this on KNOS. Okay, so I traded this on February 6th. No, I didn't. Let's see. Okay, okay, so I traded this on this day, KNOS. And the thing was, I was up 3 grand on this trade, but this is a trade that, for some reason, I guess because I was already up and I was already feeling good, and I took this unnecessary loss. I tried to buy this panic dip, which is something that I added to my arsenal. It made me a couple $1,000 this month. You can hear me talk about it in the previous month's video. But I want to start buying these dips, these panic dips that are just really dramatic, that are just due for a bounce. And I tried to buy some right here. Ended up buying the top, and I cut. And I tried to get out pretty much immediately for like break even, but because of the slippage, I wasn't able to get out, so I lost like $800 or $900. But the most important thing about that trade is that I was so mad during that trade, and which isn't really normally like me. I don't really get that mad, but for some reason I was mad. And previously, in previous months, those are the times where I'm going to stay at the computer and fight and try to make back that loss, even though I know that my mental's not in the right state of mind. But here, like having a little bit of experience and stuff like that, I'm like, if I stay at this computer being this mad and I try to force it, I'm gonna turn what is right now a $2,000 green day. I'm gonna bring that back to a few $100s or break even. I'm gonna get even more mad. So what did I do? I went to the gym and I cut that shortly. And that is something that new traders have to learn how to adapt to, is being very in tune with your emotions, because your emotions are what are going to get you into trouble in this game. But if you can master those emotions, then you can make, crazy amounts of money, and also avoid giving back crazy amounts of money. Because if I gave back money today by not walking away from the computer and going to the gym, what's going to happen? That means that the next days, they're probably not going to be green, because I'm not going to be confident. I'm going to be thinking about that red day, and I'm just not going to be feeling good about what it is that I'm doing. So that's something that's really important. Another mental side of trading that is, not really talked about much at all, um, in the trading community. Now, so I was during the middle of this month, I was moving to South Florida. So I missed these 2 days. No, this day right here, I just didn't see anything that I liked. And this day right here, I was traveling. So that's the important thing about the OTC market is, I mean, not the OTC market. That's the important thing about trading, is that you want to be able to milk it when it's hot. I'm giving everything I got on all these days right here. Um, so that if I have to miss a day, I'm not tripping. I'm not feeling FOMO. I'm not trying to trade from my phone or doing nothing crazy like that. I'm sitting back, relaxing, missing the market, because I've already milked it when it was hot, when I was trading. And that's why I can come in here, miss this day, which I missed like a 30% mover on TSMP. Um, and then I come back and have my best day. The following Monday, the first day I get moved into the new apartment. So that's exactly what I'm all about, is, trading less and making more. I made close to 30 grand this month, and it was probably on, 5 to 7 hours of work per week. So complete freedom, but it comes at a cost. There's an upfront learning cost to trading. It's not going to be easy out the gate. And just going back to what you saw from my learning curve is, I'm not out here trying to make it seem like I'm winning all the time. I've been consistent as hell the past 3 months, but the first 6 months are where most people quit. The first year is where most people quit. So if you can't go 6 months to a year without making a single dollar like I did, you know, maybe it's time to think about doing something else instead. So, um, I think that is most of what I wanted to talk about. I have a couple more plays that I wanted to talk about. INKW, which was on February 2nd. Let me see if I can show the daily chart here. INKW right here. So you had, I was playing it on this day, these 3 days right here, these 3 days. So they had some news about Amazon and their water company and stuff like that. Um, and I just completely missed. I wasn't paying attention to the fact that this chart was a very clean daily chart. As soon as it breaks past this level, had this little shakeout right here at this bottom wick area, I should be riding this thing up and adding on higher lows. But instead, I just kind of like scalped around on it, and made like $1,500, when in all actuality, this is the intraday chart, the 1 minute chart. I'm buying here, selling here, buying here, selling here, buying here, selling here, locking in $1,500, when realistically I should be buying here, adding more on higher low here, adding more on a higher low here, adding more on a higher low here, and then letting this thing just completely ride out and getting some sales into this area right here. So yeah, I made $1,500 on it, but I could have made 15. I mean, I could have made like 6, 7, 8, 10 grand on this trade, realistically speaking. And if you're not taking a look at the daily chart, seeing that this is a very clean breakout, especially in the beginning of this month, the breakouts were happening a lot more cleaner. Now they've been a little bit choppier. But if you're not looking at the daily chart, you're missing the big picture, and you're just getting caught up in every little move that happens instead of riding this thing out. You kind of see, like, my last sales was around this area right here, and this thing went all the way to 13 cents. Completely don't like how I played that. Um, Mm-mm-mm. And then the other loss that I had was, well, that one wasn't a loss, but the other lie besides KNOS that I had was on, let's see what it is. It was this day right here. Um, just more slippage, you know. I tried to buy a panic dip, tried to buy a panic dip right here, but I wasn't able to get out. And because I took that loss, I just kind of forgot about it. But then it made its first higher low when it started to reverse and climb all the way back up. So, it's not the end of the world, but, it's something that maybe I should stay and watch and wait for this first higher low for this thing to kind of, reverse and make some money on it. Um, the last thing that I'm going to be talking about today is just, what I want to be adding or what I want to be doing better going into next month. And that's going to be swing trading. Not really swing trading, but kind of just like, I guess it's technically swing trading, but what I'm really talking about here is overnight trades on these candles, on these OTCs, first green days that are closing very strong. I want to be able to, hold some overnight. This one closed, ABB closed at 21 cents and opened at, what is that, 24 cents. So that is, what is that, 21, 24. That's a 13% move. So let's pretend I have even half size, you know, going overnight, 10 grand, and I lock in a 13% gap up the next day. I'm starting off the day on a great note, playing with house money, already up $1,300 because I'm very comfortable with this setups. Because the things that I'm going to be holding overnight are the same exact stocks that are going to be my A plus setups the next morning. So I feel very comfortable doing that. And I think that by doing that, I can easily turn a 10 grand, a $30,000 month into a 40,000 or $50,000 month just by continuing to stick to process and adding that to my arsenal. I assume that, even though I'm seeing a little bit of success and I'm like very grateful for how far I've come, as a trader, like a $30,000 month, a few months ago just didn't even seem real to me. But I assume that I don't know anything, that there are still traders out there that know a lot more than me. And I never want to get into a position where I am, you know, thinking that I know everything and I'm not continuing to move, sharpen my edge, add new things to my arsenal, and reviewing every single thing. That's one of the most important things about this game is you need to be reviewing not only your wins, not only your losses, but even your wins. Like, last month I was making, great money playing the OTC morning plays. And what did I say? I'm like, yo, I need to be able to learn how to stay longer for these. So that includes locking some gains in and then letting the rest ride out. Because in this game, it's like it's very hard to continue to hold things and to take big pieces of moves if you're not locking in some gains along the way. In my opinion, locking gains in along the way is what makes you patient enough to ride, these moves out. So then when it comes to plays like INKW, this is the daily chart. Let me not even look at the daily chart. When it comes to plays like, INKW, which was on February 2nd, instead of locking in all of my gains by this candle right here, maybe I just lock in a piece along the way of small pieces, small pieces, small pieces, and then I don't miss this huge run up right there that literally could have made the entire week. Um, so um, that is the main takeaways from this month. And then the last thing that I'm just going to talk about is just going back to the daily charts is you can kind of see this is a clear breakout level right here. I completely missed this play, but the breakout level is right here on this line right here. And then when you come into the 1 minute chart, you should be able to get maximum confidence on a play when the intraday levels, line up with the daily levels. So this is the intraday level. It has this nice spike right here, and then it pulls down and it holds that breakout line completely perfectly. I missed this play because I think I was at the gym or I was doing something to get set up with my move. And what do you have? Once it holds that perfectly, you get a 42% move without even any pullback. On full size for me, that's $8,000 within, what is that? Within 10, 11 minutes. So you always want to be taking a look at the daily chart, not getting caught up in that 1 minute chart. Like look at the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute chart, all to get a, you know, a big picture of what um, these these stocks have the potential to do. So, my opinion, this is a good month for me. I'm looking to be better next month. Hopefully, the market continues to stay hot. I'm going to be keeping track of, big sector momentums. This month we had a weed sector run, you had a Bitcoin run, you had energy sector. And I want to be continuing to trade efficiently, like every single month, even more, in my opinion, sometimes even more important than how much money I made is the statistics of my average win and my average loss, and, you know, also my profit factor, because those tell me how efficiently I'm trading. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I can have a weaker January than February, but I started trading more efficiently. And then when February came around, I tripled last month. So average win and average loss trade is the most important things. Profit factor is the most important thing, and limiting huge drawdowns. Like you can see, my largest gain 6,200 versus 1,200. My largest gain is about 5 times my largest loss. So those are key points to take away from. Yeah, just trading efficiently, taking it one trade at a time, but also, you know, being smart enough to sit on my hands when my plays aren't there, when my edge is not there, when it's outside of my comfort zone as far as what time of day. Just continuing to get better. So hope y'all like this video. You guys can like, subscribe, and I'll be posting some more videos going forward.